Hi everyone, I made a video for all of you and it ended up being very long. So I had to cut it up into a few different parts, 4 to be exact. And it also meant that I had to shoot these transition pieces so that you knew why sometimes it seemed like I stopped abruptly in the video. And this is part 2 of 4 in this series. So make sure you watch all of them. Part 1 is linked here and you have the others as well that will come up at the end of the video. So make sure you watch all of them. As I said in my first video, yes, I am making a few assumptions here that you do have access to a grocery store that you're able to get to, as well as, reliable appliances and a few other things. So if these are unavailable to you, please do not hesitate to get in touch with me. You can comment here on our YouTube page or contact me through our Facebook page or our website. I'll be happy to talk to you about it. So yeah, let's get started. This is video 2 of 4. Now, once you're in the grocery stores, what are some tips to keep in mind? The first one is that it's best to shop the perimeter of the grocery store rather than the aisles. The healthiest options are always around the perimeter. And this is true for most grocery stores. And then of course you have the perimeter, the aisles where if there are things you need to buy, then yes, know what you need, go in there and leave. There's a lot of marketing that happens here and those boxes can sometimes feel like they're calling your name. Now, most of the time, the more expensive products are at eye level because that's what the grocery stores want to sell. So it's always a good idea to reach a section and sort of look at all the shelves that they have available, all the brands that they have available, because you might find cheaper options elsewhere. Also, I've noticed that in some stores, spices and curries or sauces might be cheaper in the Asian section, the Mexican section, rather than in the regular section. So that's just something to watch out for as well. Okay, a big one. Don't shop when you're hungry. I know everyone says this, but I know I've reached the grocery store sometimes really hungry. So what's the best thing you can do? I either buy myself a fruit or a bar or something like that. Most of them have self-checkouts now, so you can just quickly get that, take a couple of bites and then start shopping, because otherwise you will start impulse buying a lot. So definitely keep that in mind. The fourth point to keep in mind when you're in the grocery stores would be to look at the grocery store brands themselves. Rather than always looking for a big brand name thing, because sometimes it's very small differences, but the quality of the product is about the same. Now, I have another business, the Orange Owl, where I make skincare products, and I have worked with stores before where they want me to make the same products that they're selling, they want me to make it for them. The difference was just maybe 1 or 2 ingredients or the packaging, so that the price goes down so they can sell that cheaper than the actual brand named product. Okay, the next one is frozen produce actually. So these are picked at their ripest and frozen down and then packaged and sold, versus other produce that can be picked when it's unripe and then ripened along the way artificially using ethylene gas. So most of the time your frozen produce can actually be the best quality for you. We buy these often and keep them in our freezer. You can actually roast these, and one of the recipes that I show you will actually have me roasting frozen produce directly from this into the oven, and it's a very simple way to get good nutritious vegetarian dishes. So that's definitely something I would say you guys should look out for in the store. You can also blend them in sauces when you're making it for pasta and things like that. You won't even know that they're there, and then you don't have to worry about them getting mushy or anything. I know a lot of people like to steam these, that's fine as well, but frozen produce can really help you solve an issue if you have with no access to fresh produce easily. Okay, the next place you can really get the most bang for your buck is dried beans, legumes, canned beans, grains, things like that. So I'm Indian, I have a variety of different colors of beans and lentils in my house. It's just all the things that I grew up on, and I love having them. They're very nutritious, an amazing amount of fiber and protein, good punch of nutrients in these guys. So those are definitely something to keep in mind. They do require a little more prep work because you have to soak them and get them ready the night before. So you do have to plan ahead. If that's an issue that you have, or you need something just very quickly, canned. Canned works just as well. You have your beans that you can buy, variety of them. My daughter loves butter beans at the moment. You add it to anything, she will eat anything. And then of course you have things like canned tomatoes. If you can't keep fresh tomatoes at home just because they go bad on you if you don't use them fast enough, so that's something also that you can look at. Canned fish, so canned salmon, canned tuna. If you eat meat, that is also something you can keep available. It's very cost effective and makes a good high protein meal very quickly for you if you don't do the beans and lentils and nuts and seeds. Those are other options of vegetarian sources of protein. And then of course you have the grains. We usually keep a lot of brown rice available, white rice, as well as some quinoa. These are our three most sort of to-go grains. We use basmati rice. It's the long grain white rice, and this is also basmati brown rice. Amongst all the white rice options that are available, basmati has the lowest glycemic index. So it has less of an impact compared to other white rices on your blood sugar. So that's one reason that we have that. The brown rice is even better. These don't go bad very quickly, and if they do, you can smell them. They go rancid. So then you need to buy some. And then of course you have pasta that just like lasts forever. I'm gluten free, and so we like this one really a lot. It's called Tinkiara. It's just a brown rice pasta. You can use this. I've used this with people who eat gluten and they haven't known. So I think that's a good way to know that the pasta doesn't sort of fall apart and get gooey and mushy. I know there are lots of bean and lentil pastas available. You can certainly give them a try. And then if you eat meat, you look at there are two options. You can buy the tougher cuts of meat, and you can cook them in the slow cooker or the pressure cooker, and that helps just sort of break things down so that it still is very delicious for you. Or you can buy bigger packages of meat. There are two things here. One, you need to have the money available to pay for the bigger package of meat. Even though per pound the price will be less, you'll still be paying a lot out of pocket at that moment. So if that's possible, that's great. And the second thing is, if you buy a lot of meat, you need to be able to freeze it or store it in some way. So do you have the freezer capacity to do that? So that's also something to keep in mind. And then of course you have something like a rotisserie chicken that most stores sell their rotisserie roasted chickens. And that is really, you can do so many different things with it. You can use the meat to make tacos, you can make salads, you can just put it in a quick stir fry. There are so many different ways to use the meat off of a rotisserie chicken. So that's something that we buy often just to sort of get as many meals out of it as possible. And if we're really feeling ambitious that week or the week after, we save the bones in the freezer and we make a stock out of it. But again, that takes some prep work. So there you have it. Some good ideas on what you can do once you're in the grocery store. That's part 2. Now part 3 and part 4 deal with what do you do with all that food when you bring it home? How do you store it? How do you prep it? How do you plan for your meals? What do you do with all the leftovers? And a few other things like that. So definitely make sure you look at part 3 and part 4 as well in this series. As always, don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel so you can stay updated. If you have any suggestions for topics, you have any questions or concerns, you're welcome to comment here on our YouTube page, or you can contact us through our Facebook page and website. All the links are here in the description. So please make sure you take a look at that and be in touch if you need to. Thank you so much for your time. Be well.